only place we can turn, and with whatever is happening in the world around us, with the economy that is hitting so many people that you know, people maybe from this very congregation, the sickness, the uncertainty, the loss of jobs, retirement, whatever. And then something that's really disturbing is when the CEOs who have allowed some of this to take place because of greed, they walk off with multiplied millions after they're fired, and the employees walk away with nothing. This kind of injustice is going to be dealt with, but in God's time, in His way. And while I'm not going to pursue that any further, you know exactly what I'm saying. And so here's today's inspiration. And I noticed that clock, I think, speeded up a bit. Today's inspiration is simply this. This is God. Today I will be handling all of your problems for you. I do not need your help. So, have a nice day. I love you. And then knowing how human we are and how things somehow just kind of fly over our heads or somehow don't lodge, there's a postscript. P.S. Oh, and remember, if life happens to deliver a situation to you that you cannot handle, do not attempt to resolve it yourself. Kindly put it in the SFGTD box. That's something for God to do box. I will get to it in my time. All situations will be resolved, but in my time, not yours. That's a good reminder, isn't it? Then he goes on to say, once the matter is placed into the box, do not hold on to it by worrying about it. Instead, focus on all the wonderful things that are present in your life now. If you find yourself stuck in traffic, don't despair. There are people in this world for whom driving is an unheard of privilege. Should you have a bad day at work, think of the man who has been out of work for years. Should you despair over a relationship gone bad, think of the person who has never known what it's like to love or to be loved in return. Should you grieve the passing of another weekend, think of the woman in dire straits, working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week to feed her children, because she's the only provider. Should your car break down, leaving you miles away from assistance, think of the paraplegic who would love the opportunity to take that walk. Should you notice a new gray hair in the mirror, think of the cancer patient in chemo who wishes she had hair to examine. Should you find yourself at a loss and pondering, what is life all about? Asking, what is my purpose? Be thankful. There are those who didn't live long enough to get the opportunity. Should you find yourself the victim of other people's bitterness, ignorance, smallness, or insecurity, remember, things could be worse. You could be one of them. This brings to mind a lot of the news, the reality of the news that we hear day by day. But it's also the good news, because somebody knows, somebody cares, somebody has the answer, and He has promised to keep His promise. Amen. And so, folks, He simply signs it off by saying, oh, and now, have a good day. In closing, I must tell this story. There must be a very proud mother. I don't know if she's living any longer, but must be a very proud mother in Pennsylvania. And this is the story behind that mother's pride. A little girl near a small church from which she had been turned away because it was too crowded. She wanted to go to their Sunday school class, but when she went in and didn't see a place to be seated, they said, "We don't have any room." So she left and tearfully was walking away from the church, and the pastor saw her, and he said, "Well, honey, what's the matter?" "I can't go to Sunday school. There's no room." And then seeing her shabby clothes, her unkempt condition, the pastor had a pretty good idea why there was no room. However, when he took her by the hand and went back into that Sunday school classroom, strangely enough, there was room. But somehow this little girl was impressed. But she also was ill. And after a couple of years, she died, and the mother, the parents, asked this pastor if he would conduct a memorial service. One thing they noticed about her at the time of her demise, she had a little crumpled red purse, and they thought it was something probably that came from someone's trash. There wasn't a whole lot in it, but when they examined this, there was a note. The note said, "This is to help build the little church bigger so more children can go to Sunday school." And in that little purse was 57 cents. The pastor took this very personally, and he had a meeting with the deacons and with the church body, and he shared the story of the little girl, the purse, and the 57 cents. Well, somehow the news that day was picked up by a reporter, because the church had been challenged to do something so there would be room for other children. A real estate agent picked up the story in the news. Now that was just probably routine, but the good news is coming. And as he read the story, he was kind of moved by the contribution of the little girl, and he notified the church leaders. "Listen, I will give you